And perhaps you can tell us about this story, because I think so many people were surprised. They don't know who this Kurdish leader is. They don't know why this happened at this time. And they're shocked at the tremendous spread of demonstrations and riots all over Europe upon his capture. Who is this man and what's the story?
Well, let me take you a little back further in history, because we should, as a historian, I feel the need to put this into a historical context. When we talk about Kurdish nationalism, in my opinion, and according to my research, it originates from the end of World War I, when the Kurds were promised at the end of World War I by Treaty of Sevres in 1920, that in fact it goes as the Kurds, if they desire to be independent from Turkey, if the Council, meaning the League of Nations, decides that they're capable of governing themselves, Turkey should not react to this decision. 3 years later, in 1923, this Treaty of Sevres was voided by another treaty, which is the Treaty of Lausanne, which did not have any mention about the Kurds in it. So Kurds, after that, felt betrayed. And this is the origin of the problem, actually, that not very many people actually touch on it.
Where, if there had been a Kurdistan, a state, where would it have been?
Well, according to the Kurdish scholars and the Kurdish point of view, it was definitely a region in the 16th century. It was defined in one historical sources written by a Kurd in Persian. That starts from the Gulf of Hormuz, Gulf of Basra, goes up to the central Anatolia, and goes to the Azerbaijan in a triangle. But it has been modified throughout years to change to a point that you demonstrated, you put in your cameras. But it is changing. Let me go one step further, if you allow me, from World War I to the next step, before we understand what's happening today. In 1925, Turkish Republic, a new republic, Ottoman Empire collapsed, and Kurds had to live in Turkish Republic, partly. Now we have another revolt. There are many revolts throughout the history, but this is particularly important because it threatened the existence of the new Turkish Republic. So Turks reacted fiercely. This revolt called Sheikh Said Revolt in 1925, and it is important. The leadership was religious. Now, the first revolts always led by the notables, Kurdish notables. This is the second revolt, second most important revolt that led by religious authorities. But in 1970, when PKK emerged, now we see the PKK went quite different from any predecessors.
The PKK is a Marxist, left-leaning, Marxist radical group led by the man who was just arrested, Öcalan.
Abdullah Öcalan. But we have to, again, keep these things into consideration, that actually PKK originates from 1974, not 78, under a different name.
No, but this is getting too technical. I think the point. Now, bring us up to date. Why the capture now? How long? I mean, this fighting has been going on for 15 years, 30 to 37,000 deaths. Why now the capture?
Well, this fighting has been going on for a very long time, not just 15 years. There were a lot of revolts in Turkey, but this fighting, referring to specifically the PKK movement, started in 1984, yes, in 15 years.
Okay.
Well, the world is changing. There are a lot of things are changing in the world right now. What's happening in Afghanistan might have some effect in it. What's happening, the relations between United States and Iraq has a lot to do with it. And Bin Laden's movement has a lot to do with it. I believe United States wanted to show, in my opinion, friendship to Turkish government to locate where Abdullah Öcalan is, and probably after that.
In gratitude for the air base provided to the United States
for quite possible. We don't know exactly
controlling the no-fly zone in Iraq.
Mr.
Walkout, what's your take on this story?
Well, the thing that interests me about this story is how it's the reverse mirror image of what's going on in Kosovo, where exactly at this moment we're having a peace treaty, supposedly we're forcing a peace treaty with exactly the opposite result. So in Turkey, well, in Turkey you have a rebel group that wants to become independent, that uses violent means to do so, and they are being suppressed with our help. In
right now economically will allow is dangerous. But you know, if you isolate
is that the Russian military is certainly not a monolith.
Serious weapons to Serbia right now.
Our Chicago Tonight program tomorrow evening at 7 and 10 when I interview the 1999 candidates for mayor of Chicago, the incumbent mayor, Richard M. Daley, and his opponent, Congressman Bobby Rush. That's separate one-on-one, back-to-back interviews with Mayor Daley and Congressman Rush tomorrow here on Chicago Tonight. I'm John Calloway. Thank you, and good night. And at least they can't sell those. Is Mr. Friedman on to something?
Because a few days ago they said they were going to support troops down. They must have gotten something.
Which sort of makes things a little bit easier. But the fact is we will have U.S. troops there.
What do you think the prospects are for peace, real peace?
Well, there are no prospects for real peace, but there's a prospect for
ceasefire.
Stability or generate the lack of stability.
To be completely overt about it. I mean,
but we're doing nothing in Central Africa.
And well, according to Turkish penal,
it's going to be in this post-Cold War era. It's going to be very, very murky. But now the Turks have this man. And there is, the problem is that they could execute him, and then what we have seen in just the last 48 hours, I assume, could break out again all over the world. I mean, there is a tremendous Kurdish representation in Europe.
Yes, well, both sides, Turks and Kurds, are very emotionally involved in this. And, well, according to Turkish penal code, it is very likely that Abdullah Öcalan might be punished, sentenced
to be executed.
Yes, well, it's possible. But it's basically in Turkey, this is the, in Turkey, soon we're going to have elections. Now, new government will come to power. Yes. So, on the one hand, Turkey's relations with the West, on the other hand, internal pressure. Now, these two things are going to come to a term in the end, and we don't know if the new government, whoever it will be, will want to come to power promising that he or she will free or lessen the death penalty that Abdullah Öcalan might get. But on the other hand, United States, I believe, definitely West, European community is working on that to somehow to strike a deal with Turkish government not to punish him.
I want to go because the time on this program is going very quickly. We've got 3 days